Hey everyone, Jason here. This video is going to serve as a bit of a test run to see how my new equipment is doing. I've replaced my laptop with a PC and I've made a bunch of changes over the weekend, and I'm hoping that I don't have any more screwy, laggy, crappy frame rate issues that completely trash any more videos. But ultimately, the same exact setup is going to allow me to start doing some live streaming. Now, I'm not going to do a whole lot of that because I'm shy as fuck, and I think it'll drive me nuts to have more than 2 people watching me work, but we'll see. And so anyways, let's move on with this video. This is just going to be a standard round-of-the-mill touch IC repair. So if you're looking for something exciting and different, this is most likely not it. Also not going to do any editing on this video. I'm planning on recording this with Open Broadcaster and posting it because today is Monday. I have mountains and mountains and mountains of stuff to do, and I'm not going to be able to do any video editing until later on in the week, but I do have some really cool stuff planned. So look forward to seeing me pop up live streaming. Yeah, I know, I've said it before. I can blame my equipment all I want, but it's not the equipment. It's not the equipment. So, okay, let's move on with this repair. I've already verified that we've got classic, traditional, flickering gray bars. There. Flickering like crazy, looks like crap. So we're going to go ahead and shut this off, and to shut this off I'm going to hold the menu key and the hold key, and we should get, let's see if it's going to reboot on us. Nope, it actually went down and stayed down. So alright, let's move on with this repair. I'm going to grab us a little magnet sheet here, and I'm going to be doing the full teardown here on camera. And like I said, this is not going to be an edited cut video. You know, the repair videos you see on this channel, although you might see some really see, I'm trying to figure out. I might reset my hotkeys and install like foot pedals. Yeah, foot pedals. So there you go. Everybody, foot pedals. Now all the other channels can have foot pedals before me. So let's take this thing apart. I don't even know what I'm talking about. So we're going to go back to hands. Oh, I'm also using the new version of Open Broadcaster. Up until this video, everything that you have seen me record has been done on 0.695B beta, like the beta version of Open Broadcaster. That has been my baby. All these videos. I didn't like the studio version, and I still kind of don't. Wait a minute. All right, this is just a 6 Plus. When they have issues coming open, I automatically start thinking, uh-oh, is it a 6S Plus? But you know what? Once in a while, people actually use the 6S and 6S Plus adhesive around this crap, and it drives me nuts. Like, get that stuff out of my way. So let's go ahead and pull the screws out of this. I can see I might have some things to do with lighting, but we're not going to worry about that in this video. I did get griped out once for talking so much about my production stuff, and it's like, we don't want to hear about your cameras and on and on and on, but I'm going to call bullshit because I get just as many questions about cameras and production as I do about equipment that I use for doing repairs, and I'm just I am going to share it all. I like to share what I do for a living. I like to share how it is that I made it to this point, and I fully intend on continuing to do that. And I'm really not bothered by people that tell me, don't talk about that on your channel. Well, folks, guess what? You are allowed to do whatever you want, and that is a beautiful thing. So moving right along here, what the... Where did that come from? Maybe that'll show up in this video. I'll toss that aside. Okay. My wife is gone picking up a rental car. I have to make sure that's not her buzzing me to death because they might have thrown her a curveball and then she's going to freeze like a deer in a headlight. I think this is gonna actually work out okay. All right, what'd she say? They stuck her in a Jeep. That's great. Anytime she gets a car, ow! Anytime my wife gets a car, like, it doesn't matter. She can automatically assume within a week something's gonna happen to it, and then she's gonna wind up in some like rental car that the insurance company chooses for her. So, moving right along with this repair. Let's go ahead and take the board out of this thing. After we disconnect the screen. Dun, 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 dun. Ta-da! I might have to switch that hotkey back to the one that I'm used to because I keep pushing the wrong thing. Alright, make sure we've got the right basket. Now, folks, I'm going to be really honest. Last week was absolute, total garbage. I had very little that went right. Now, because of the way I have things structured, you know, it's hardly ever a losing week. Like, I'm not going to do it for free. I'm not going to do it at a loss. But last week was rough, man. I wasn't in a really good mood the whole entire week. But I pulled through it. And this weekend, I did exactly what I promised myself I would do, and I disappeared off the face of the planet. I think I did do a little bit of commenting on YouTube, but as far as my ticket system and customers and jobs that were here, that stuff got to sit and rot, because that's just, sometimes you have to disappear. You have to take a break. And so for all those of you that keeps encouraging me and allowing me to volunteer myself on the weekends, just stop it. Tell me no. Tell me don't work on the weekends. You're going to burn yourself out. But sometimes you have to. If you don't work on the weekends, sometimes you get behind and you have to work on the weekends. Alright, so if everything turns out well on this video, and I don't have any issues and crazy curveballs, or I get it done and I'm missing something goofy, this is going to allow me to record more often because I'm not stuck with setting up other camera gear. Everything that you see here is being directly recorded through Open Broadcaster, and I'm not going to do every video like this because I'm telling you what, I thoroughly enjoy editing stuff, and I'm just now learning how to do this stuff, and I'm really just now learning video production, and this is something that's a new part of my life. And I absolutely love it. So you are going to see some live streaming out of me, but that's not going to be my main gig. I'm going to live stream some things here and there, but for the most part, I really enjoy producing content. I enjoy being able to take scenes from here, here, and here and bring it together into one fluid, flowing video. So I've got a lot of cool ideas that I'm going to be bringing to this channel, but I'm also going to be making sure I hold on to the essence of what has started this channel, which is the repairs and demonstrating this stuff. So although you're going to probably see me going crazy nuts wild on this channel, I'm still going to be continuing to put the repair side of this in here, and I don't know, maybe let's move on. I'll be doing some fun stuff. I can't wait to bring some of my childhood past into this channel and see how much criticism I get for burning shit up with like 1,000 amps, and I can hear it now. We didn't join this channel to watch you destroy things. Well, I'm not going to destroy anything that's worth any money. Just going to have some fun. Maybe I'll live stream it. One thing I will say about this YouTube stuff, this camera that I'm talking to, and this camera that I normally talk to, this is a really low-end Nikon camera. It's in my description, but I don't recommend buying this for video production because at 1080p, 60 frames a second, you are limited to 24-minute files. So every time you see me get up, that's me restarting this camera to be sure it doesn't quit recording without asking me, because when it stops, it gives a little bit of a chirp, just a tiny little bit of a chirp, and you don't know it. So you're going to be sitting there talking to a camera that's not recording you. So this YouTube stuff, it really has helped me to the core. I mean, it's helped me inside. It's helped me feel better about life. I wake up almost every day just like ready to go. I mean, I'm enthusiastic. I got goals to work for, and I make sure that I keep my goals. And I really love what I'm doing. So I love what I'm doing, but I don't have a clue what I'm talking about. So it's probably not a good idea to listen to me. Let's move on with this repair. It's Monday, and I am actually excited. Like, you know how many Mondays out of my life that I woke up like, oh God, it's Monday. Oh, and I just hit that snooze button and stay in bed and stay in bed and stay in bed. That's been the story of my life. You know, outside of growing up, like whenever I was a teenager, I used to wake up every day enthusiastic about learning things, and I'd have my project going on the bench, and you know, I've got all these machines and things that I've built to try to come up with stuff that's not supposed to be possible, and I really got all the time to burn, you know, no stress in the world. At those times, those were some of the best times of my life, where it's like I had nothing to worry about. Those are the times where I learned what I learned that has made it so that I can do what I'm doing today. And I really think I'm going to use foot pedals for Open Broadcaster so that I can switch scenes without having to use my hands. That's a pain in the ass. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to anchor this iPhone 6 Plus PCB down to the table. I'm going to switch you over to the microscope. And you see this one has this little strip of glue here in front of the shield, which tells me that this is a refurb, most likely. And I'm going to move things around a little bit because I can't tell when my microscope is focused. And that's a really big part of this. I want... you know what, we're good enough. Let's leave it over here. Alright, so the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to try to make damn sure that I don't have any issues with Touch ID. Everything's looking good here. So I'm going to make sure I don't have any issues with Touch ID, and to do that, I'm going to trim back a lot of this crap that Apple has put on the board. Let me double check and make sure I'm focused, because I hate publishing things that are sickeningly out of focus. So, whew, it's time to adjust my microscope, because now it's in focus for you, but it's not in focus for me. Maybe I'll find a happy medium. Let's try right there. That's probably pretty close. Alright, so when you do a Touch IC repair, this stuff over here, this stuff is just terribly, pitifully, poorly soldered. And I always clear this crap back out of the way. I know, you're all going to be like, another Touch IC repair, but look, the purpose of this video is to test my equipment, and I don't want to throw this video away because it's most likely going to be a good repair. And I am really excited about streaming, but at the same time I'm a little horrified, because any of you that's been following my channel, you know that I'm a complete social hermit, and that the only time that I open up and talk is whenever there's a camera recording, and it's not going to respond. It's not going to make fun of me. My camera's not going to laugh at me. So like, I'm allowed to say whatever I want, and I don't have to worry about it. So with all this YouTube therapy, I'm learning to not care what people think. Now, I'm telling you, I am somebody that has lived, and I'm going to keep working while I talk because I got this board warmed up now, but I am somebody that has lived my entire life worrying about what people think of me. Now that sort of hard-coded, that hard-coded learned behavior, let's say learned behavior, is, that's something that's hard to get past. So when you start talking about somebody that you've been your whole entire life, that's something that you can't just, it sounds like trash services here, that's something that you can't just unlearn. Like, you can't just snap your fingers and have things that you've became unbecome. Because when you're young, when you're a baby, and all through your childhood years when you're growing up, your brain is forming these physical pathways that learn how to cope with things. So even before you're old enough to talk, your brain is already forming pathways that it needs to release chemicals for emotions that it knows that you're going to need to survive. So even from a very, very young age, your brain is taking in its surroundings, and it is making physical connections that you're going to need to survive and cope with your surroundings. Now, I don't have any kind of schooling in this. I mean, this is just stuff that I've came up with through life growing up, and watching other kids, and watching how babies act, and how they quickly learn to respond to their surroundings. And if they're going to need excessive amounts of anger to cope with the world around them, a good chance they're going to have excessive amounts of anger. Am I even doing this on camera? So I guess what I'm trying to say is that I've been a social hermit my whole life. I've always lived everything by what other people think, and only in the last year have I realized that that's complete and total bullshit, and that my whole entire life has been lived not by what I want, but by what I think other people's want of me. And that's bad, because other people are not always going to have your best of interest in mind. Only you can do the best thing for yourself. You really can't always trust in other people. Now, I have came up with people, I have people in my life that I can trust, and that I would trust with my life no matter what. But in growing up and trusting what other people think of me, okay, I don't get to just post this without editing because the dang thing stopped. And anyways, what I started to say is that in growing up and and doing things by what other people think of you, something that you really should keep in mind, and I probably did a really good job at saying this before, but my recording stopped in the middle of testing my gear. That's just lovely. So reduce the bit rate. Anyways, moving on. So whenever looking back and living my life according to what other people think, I've learned that other people don't always have your best of interest in mind, because their own insecurities will actually come out of them and onto you in the form of trying to cut you down. So somebody else that doesn't feel like they're doing really well for themselves, rather than trying to do much better for themselves, they will tend to try to bring the people down that are doing well for themselves. So so here you are being really positive, and somebody around you that you feel like should be positive as well about it, yet they're not. They try to pull you down. I wouldn't necessarily blame them, but it's a natural human reaction that some people just can't resist. I am somebody, I don't know how much of this recorded, but I am somebody that has lived my entire life around what other people think, and always thinking that other people had the best of interest. And almost every aspect of my life every move that I made was with what other people would think in mind. And that is a really bad way to live. I'm working hard to get that out of my head, because it's just, it's poison. It will poison your success, because the people around you, they're not all going to want you to be successful. There are going to be some that are wholehearted and they want to see you do good, but there's a real good chance that that person that's criticizing you is only worried about themselves. They're not capable of improvement. I don't know enough about it to talk about it, but I will say I watched a Rossman video last week that just it kicked me right straight in the balls. And I don't remember what the video was about, but he did some talking on social anxiety and how on other people, how like whenever you're worried about what other people think. I have no idea how to word that, so I'm not even going to try. And I don't get to upload this unedited either, so I might just cut this out. But anyways, I am somebody that has lived my whole entire life that way, and my brain is hardwired to always consider other people, and that's a really good thing. I think it's a good idea to come up with somewhat of a balance between other people and yourself, but don't let the opinions of other people hinder your success, because if they're completely fucking miserable, then they're going to try to inflict that on you as well, because you being successful, it makes them look bad. I'm going to repair this phone, because I'm better at repairing stuff than I am talking about things that make me uncomfortable. And let me tell you, a lifetime of worrying what other people think, and to sit down and talk about it in front of a camera where I know 2,000 people are going to watch it in the next couple of days, that makes me uncomfortable, but that's who I am. And I will tell you that this camera right here, that has became a therapist. This camera right here, this has became a therapist, and it works extremely well. So when you see me putting this stuff out on YouTube, I'm not just putting this stuff out there to be like, hey, here's how to do it. And you know, a lot of this that I'm putting out is for my viewers. But keep in mind that me sitting here speaking my feelings in front of a camera, this is me. You know, this helps me. This is therapy that I don't feel like I would get from anywhere else. I don't feel like I would get this therapy from going in and sitting down and talking to a therapist. This is self-inflicted therapy of like the highest level. I'm a social hermit. My hands sweat every time I get ready to hit the publish button. And just ask Paul Daniels. You know, I talk to Paul Daniels a lot. And he knows just what sort of anxiety I go through each time before I click that publish button. So I am not somebody that naturally wants to be like, hey, look at me, look at me. I'm not the center of attention. I'm not the center of the crowd. I am not somebody that you would ever catch up on a stage. Like, yeah, I would be the guy in the back going, God, I hope they don't call my name. I hope they don't call me up there. I hope they don't call me up there. That's me. I'm not the I'm not the center of attention. But I love what I'm doing now. So let's move on. I think my odds of not editing this video have been thrown out the window by the thing getting cut in half, but we'll see how that goes. So where were we? This video stopped. It is working now. This new version of Open Broadcaster caught me by surprise. I didn't realize the recording had stopped. So we've cut our little trace back here for the M1 jumper. While my camera was stopped, I did switch arms over to my micro pencil, and the next thing I'm going to do here is we are going to install a jumper to the M1 pad. And to do this, I am going to use a little piece of wick, and hopefully I don't stab any more holes in my glove. Let's see, we've got... Let's just see if I can make this little tiny one work, so I don't have to. I don't have to waste all my energy on grabbing something to cut it with. One thing I hate about working with jumpers this size is if you lose them, they can be a real bear to find. Yeah, I can just hear everybody now. Oh no, he's going to talk about his feelings. You know what? My feelings are the reason why I'm doing this. And if I didn't have any feelings, I wouldn't care about anything. But I do. I am somebody that was grown up being taught to care. Now, I can't bitch about my, about the way my pathways in my brain have formed to care about what other people think. Because what I have gotten out of it is a conscience, man. I've got a heart of stone, and to see somebody that's been done wrong, or like to see somebody strong hurting somebody weak, it enrages me. I have been raised good. The only thing that I will say that I somewhat regret is my self-consciousness. I've never had a lot of self-esteem, but I don't so much blame that on the way I was raised. I blame that on the environment that I was thrown into. So, I'm somebody that it's hard-coded from early on to care what people think. Back in school, I don't know, I talked about this a minute ago before I realized my camera stopped. So back in school, everybody in the room would be talking about sports and who scored what, and I'm a nerd that didn't know how to relate to those things. And here I would pop off with something about how when you burn hydrogen and oxygen together, you get an explosion and then a drop of water, and everybody look at me like, huh? So just as I didn't know how to relate to some of them, most all of them didn't know how to relate to me. And from there on, I grew up thinking I was weird. And learn to keep my mouth shut at social gatherings, because when I talk, everybody around me get quiet. And it's not because I was weird, it's because they didn't know how to respond. And that's perfectly okay. There's nothing wrong with them, there's nothing wrong with me. It's just, now some of them are dickheads and would respond negatively just because they're dickheads, and rather than try to make themselves look smart, they'll try to make you look stupid. I may link that stream from Rossman, since I did such a piss poor job at explaining social anxiety and caring what other people think. I may link that in the description below here. And by the way, thanks, man. That actually really helped me. I have no idea why after watching that and hearing someone else's opinion on it, why I had such a shit week. I think it was completely unrelated though. All right, so I'm gonna start warming this board up. Can you even see what I'm doing? Let's back out a little bit. Well, aside from my one lockup, I am really happy with frame rate. I'm happy with everything's going here. So I am going to test my equipment out on stream whenever the timing is convenient. Okay, we warm it up just a little bit, and I'm going to let it go. Now I am a little bit high. We're a little bit too far this way, so it should drop back toward me. There it goes. One final heating, and I'm going to give it a nudge. Okay, so that chip is on. Now, one thing I will say, if you're using new components, this chip would have had lead-free balls on it, which would have made the melting point way, way, way higher, and would also cause more stress to the phone. So everything that you will see me doing on a Touch IC repair is to eliminate the possibility of secondary defects. And secondary defects are they can be a real pain in the neck. So I'm not going to be trying to make everybody feel better by, I'm always going to use new components. No, the times you're going to catch me using new components, and once again, I might have already said this because I don't know when my dang video quit, you will catch me using new components whenever it's either very convenient or very necessary. I'm not going to use new components just to try to make people feel better. That's silly, especially if that new component is going to cause you to raise the temperature of the board even farther and even cause you more stress. So this board had an issue with the Mason Touch IC. Between the board and the Touch IC, the connection was bad. There's nothing wrong with the IC itself. The problem is more the PCB, where the pad becomes disconnected from the trace. So it doesn't matter if you put a new IC on it. What you really need to do is remove the Mason IC and fix the connection to the M1 pad because it's broken. That's why you're seeing flickering gray bars. So one more quick look at this thing. I'll show you what these look like now. I used to ultrasonic clean every last one of them, but I'm going to show you exactly what this looks like going back together. You'll see there is just a tiny little bit of flux residue on the IC itself, if I can get this to focus. But as far as around the IC, it is actually very clean. And it's going to be robust too. So I'm going to heat this board up a little bit, and because I'm doing this on video, things are a little bit weird. I would have normally stuck the sticker back on it. Let's just move on. I like to stick the sticker back on this board hot. Yeah, social hermit Jason turns into YouTuber. Now, for my family and 2 or 3 friends around me, it's got to come up as somewhat of a disbelief, because I'm telling you right now, when I tell you I've lived my life as a hermit, I'm not making this up. Like, I would say literally, if I went to a party that was like a social gathering party, you might get like 2 words out of me. Unless I drank a pint of Jägermeister, you might get 2 words out of me the whole time, because, you know, I've lived my life thinking I was weird. You know, I'm thinking I'm the weird one. And I'd be a group of people all in the room, all talking and cutting up, and then I come in the room, everybody's all talking and cutting up, and then I say something about amperage or something scientific, and everybody just looks at me like, well, you know, I've lived a life of this, so I've learned to keep my mouth shut. And I did not realize through my entire life I was learning how to feel like I was weird. And one thing that I find really comforting about my new therapist, which is you guys, is that it don't matter. It don't matter if you're weird. So what if you are weird? Embrace it. Grab a hold of it. Take your weird and show it to everybody and say, hey, everybody, look, I'm fucking weird. And show everybody. And it will make you feel so good to take something that you have felt like you had to hide your whole entire life and shove it right into the face of everybody that made fun of you for it. And now who's laughing? You know, now who's making fun of who? So man, thank you all. This is great. I love talking to my camera. I like putting this stuff out there. This is a Logitech C922, and so far my frame rate looks good. I don't think it's messing up my mouth, which means I can record a little more frequently without having to set up a bunch of other stuff. And, you know, because in my busy life here with mountains of repairs, in order for me to be able to produce more regular videos, I got to be more comfortable with my gear, and it's got to work like this, because if it's going to lock up twice during a production, it winds up being not worth my time, because then it's holding up the line. So, okay, we've got the sticker back on this iPhone 6 Plus, and by putting it back on hot and stretching it, there's hardly ever even any wrinkle there. The stickers a lot of times go back on looking completely factory, and you can't even tell I've been in it. And back whenever I'd ultrasonic clean each and every one of them, you literally couldn't tell the board had been worked on. But that's overkill. You don't need to ultrasonic clean each and every one. Now, I will still firmly say that if I do a Touch IC repair that comes up with issues where it's stuck on the headphone jack. You know, it's stuck thinking there's headphones plugged in. It's because of something under the audio codec. You like my hole in my glove? Is that weird? It's something wrong with the audio codec. And I think the headphone sense line, which is also down at the bottom by the dock, so you might check there first. But the headphone sense line is really, really sensitive, and I think sometimes flux is even enough to get it, but maybe it's debris or whatever else. So anytime I get one stuck on headphones, just a good flushing fixes it. I don't ever take that IC off. I just typically drop it in an ultrasonic cleaner and move on. So let's go ahead and I'm going to put a minimal amount of screws in this phone and then test it. Hope it's got a passcode. And remembering that I forgot to verify that Touch ID worked. When you're doing 6+ Touch IC repairs, please remember to verify Touch ID works before you work on it. Because there are ways that you can mess it up, and there are ways that you can fix it. But if you're not legitimately the one that messed it up, you can waste a ton of time trying to fix it. And then it's a big arguing match as to who broke it. So just check it before you start. Differently than what I did here. I did not verify Touch ID worked, so we're going to try and hope to hell that Touch ID worked. And I'm really nervous. I don't know why my Open Broadcaster just stopped recording. I think it's because I had my bitrate set ridiculously high. It was set on 10 megabit. You know, durability. I'm going to make sure it's nice and durable. And I've now reduced it to 5 megabit. So I don't think my cameras are high enough quality to justify using anything like 10 megabit. I just did it to be silly. Plus, my CPU is like, what? It fluctuates between 15 and 20% to do it on this machine, which is awesome. Coming from my last machine that would just fluctuate between like 100 and 99%. And I'm sitting here trying to encode video and run other things. So, all right, we got hola, hello. Home button. Little flickery, flashy backlight. And we have no touch. You piece of garbage. Did I put the IC on backwards? Did anybody see me put that IC on backwards? Dude, I'm gonna record a quick video. Alright. Let's see why this thing has no touch. Let's see, did it have touch on that screen? I should have checked and see if M1 was shorted to ground. Let's go ahead and go for that. It could also be my IC was way off, remember? And when I'm putting them in with jumpers, I try not to have them be that far off. This could very well be related to that IC being so far off. So let's see if we can fix this. I am going to stick my neck way out and say that this week I'm going to stream. I feel that my confidence level is up to par enough. Seriously, man, talking to this camera, I'll tell you, has literally drugged me out of the fucking pits. I have lived every day getting up, you know, worried all the time. All the time with some sort of worry and some anxiety towards something. And only within the last year have I found comfort in life and feel like I've got like this massive weight lifted off of my shoulders. Where I don't have this burden of like worrying about what the world thinks of me. Rather, I have this urge to show the world what I think of myself. So let's check and see here if our M1 pad is shorted to ground. On my new setup, I will admit, I have not set up this on-screen meter, so you all can just take my word for it. That will be okay. I'll have that fixed before I do stream. I am going to put my A probe on, let's see, I'm going to do black probe on ground, and I'm going to put my red probe, because I've got a little wedge filed on it, down here on this pin here to see if we have a short to ground. This will be our M1 pad. Oh look, 0 ohms. So what's happened when I put this Mason IC on, I've actually, I've shorted this M1 trace to ground. My jumper's bad. So let's pull this piece of garbage back off of here, and I'm going to switch back over to the iron that I used to smooth out the pads. And I cannot wait to get this new station. Like, I don't mind switching irons back and forth, but seriously, I do it I don't know, 50 times a day, and it's starting to wear out the plugs on my equipment, and it's just it's time to upgrade. When I bought this FX 951, almost forgot to pull our sticker. I would have melted it. So let's get this back out of here. When I bought this 951, that's really what I needed. And now that things have grown to where this is nothing. I micro solder all day long. Now that things have grown to this point, it's time to upgrade, and I can justify the expense of it too. So, all right, let's warm this up slowly. Now I'm still going to use my 951. I'm going to wind up with probably the 2027 iron on the 951, and then on the I'm probably going to go ahead and stay with Hacko, like the FM203 or whatever. I'm going to wind up, yeah, look at that nice short to ground there. I'm going to stay with Hacko because it's a lot of what I already have, and I'm going to take in my 951 is going to run the 2027, and then my multi-channel station, it's going to run my 2032 micro pencil and the mini hot tweezers, what, the 2023? I know that the micro pencil's 2032, and then the hot tweezers are 2023. They do that just to screw with you, and make it nice and confusing. So, all right, I don't think we're going to save my jumper. A lot of times whenever I have to get in here and redo this, I'm able to just bump it with the iron and save it. This time we're going to start clean. Yeah, other than that one little lockup, I really like how this equipment performs. And I'm going to do little to no editing on this video because I don't have time today, and I just want to I wanted to test my equipment, and it kind of sucks that I had issues. So had I been using an IC here with lead-free solder, then I would once again be having to heat this board up to the point of melting lead-free solder. But since I did have a little bit of a glitch, it wasn't that hard to clear it up because I used leaded solder. So we are going to re-ball this IC, which, you know what, I'm pretty sure my camera wasn't recording earlier the first time I reballed this. So maybe this is beneficial. Maybe this is the universe's way of telling me that I'm doing the right thing, rather than listen to all the teenagers in high school that wanted to make fun of me for not having sex by the time I was 15. And me thinking that they were right and I was wrong. Me thinking that I was stupid and they were smart. Seriously, lived my whole entire life thinking that some of these jackasses were smart and I was the one that had problems. Are you fucking kidding me? Like, where's the therapist back then? Anyways. Yeah, man, a lifetime. I'm telling you, a lifetime of worrying what people think of you. For people that have never felt what that feels like, you don't realize what kind of a pressure that is. But for somebody that knows what it's like to live your entire life worried about what other people think, and then to all of a sudden have that gone, there's nothing. That is such an enlightening thing that I wish everybody that has ever lived with a burden their entire life could feel that lifted. I've never felt anything else comparable to that, and I have felt a lot of things, guys. But to have a burden that you have lived with your entire life be lifted is amazing. It is such an amazing thing. Now, I'll admit I'm not completely out of the water. Like, I'm not out of the woods. You know, there's still days where I get up and I slip back into my old ways, but hardly ever. I wake up in awesome moods. What do you need? Till what comes out? Yeah, what's that? Cool. Alright, so we're going to redo the reball. It's my son Jordan. He's our middle child now. And he's not very anxious for school to start again. And I will tell you what, I'm really thrilled that with my kids being at a young age that I'm learning some of these new methods of thinking, because I'm encouraging them to go through life feeling a lot more free and not having those burdens all the time of worrying about other people. and a lot of times other people that are completely dumb that want you to think you're dumb so that they don't have to try to look smart. Yeah, any of you that are watching this stuff, and you might suffer from social anxiety, I really encourage you to watch Rossman's stream. The stream had nothing to do with it, and I hardly ever get to watch a Rossman stream anymore because I'm so buried in board repairs. Thank you, Rossman and Jessa with iPad Rehab. Seriously, they played a big part in inspiring me to start talking to a camera, and I started talking to a camera because I wanted to show everybody, look what I can fix. I had no idea what it was going to do to me as a person. Whenever I started talking to a camera and just going, I want to start showing everybody that we all got a lot of the same things going on, I had no idea what this was going to do to me, but it has changed me in ways that I never thought possible. You know, yeah, I'm just fixing iPhones. Sure, I'm just fixing iPhones. But to share this experience has made me into a whole new person, and I love it. So does everybody around me, and this has set the road. You know, I didn't start doing this until I was like 34, you know, publicly in front of a camera. But this has paved the road for the rest of my life. This has changed the rest of my life. So we have our chip reballed. The next thing I'm going to do is put our jumper back in place. I'm going to switch back to the micro pencil because I still only have a single channel station. And I am on my third tip. I like using these 0.1 millimeter conical tips on this pencil, and I am on my third one. I think it's because I always file them down. I use them for a while until I feel like it's not working real good, and then it's like, I put it under the microscope and I file just a little wedge on it. Alright, so this time we are going to trim off the tip of my wick so that I can get a nice little fray out of it. I should just use wire. This stuff, it works really well, but I mean, seriously, I've got a whole, you can't see it in that view, but I got all the wire I would ever need up there. So we're just gonna, unweave us a piece of this. That's a good piece there. I try not to nick it too much because it breaks really easy, and you can have microscopic breaks that you just can't see, and that sucks. So back over to the microscope for you. I hate it when my camera quits recording though, because like I sat here and poured my heart out for a good 10 minutes just for nobody to be listening. You know, the thing's not even recording. And that's why I'm testing it. Alright, so sit that down. I like using my tweezers the other way. There we go. I spent quite a bit of time on my recording setup this weekend, guys. I was using... the place that I'm in right now doesn't have grounds in the outlets naturally. So my whole entire bench is ran on a 50-foot lead that I have ran back to a dedicated breaker. And that way I've got ground coming into my uninterruptible power supply that's powering all this crap. But I had not realized until recently that the surge bar that came off of that UPS that's running all my recording gear had the ground pin broken off of it. So every time, I'm sure it contributed to it, but every time I pick up the Hacko iron or turn the hot air on, you'd get this buzz in my audio feed. Oops. So I've put a lot of work into it this weekend, and I've got everything properly grounded. And I ran new power, and I've my goal here is to separate recording hardware from repair tools, and I've just put a a lot of effort into this because there's been a ton of things that kept me from streaming. Is that a no stuff pad, or did I just take off a good pad? But like I said before, I can sit here and blame that's no stuff, right? Yeah, ear nose stuff. I can sit here and blame my hardware all I want for not streaming, but ultimately, my reason for not streaming yet is mostly my own insecurities. Like, yeah, I got a hum behind my audio, and everything buzzes all god-awful loud every time I pick up the iron. But if it wasn't for insecurities, I wouldn't give a shit. I would post it anyways. Well, you know that, and like to maintain some standard here on quality. But okay, so we've got rebald. Yeah, never in my life have I been so secure. Like, I've never known anything but insecure, and I've never known anything but self-conscious and always worried about what people will think, and you know, trying to hide my bony elbows because I'm fucking scrawny, and always getting made fun of because of my weight, and you know, none of that means anything. You know, people that are making fun of you, they're worried about themselves. They're not worried about you. It's easier to cut somebody else down than it is to be better for yourself. Alright, so we're going to hold tight here. I'm going to let this air heat up a little more. I'm in a little bit of a hurry here, and I'm distracted because I've decided to do this in front of a camera. Okay. Are we in focus? Alright, we're in focus, so we'll go start warming that board up. Om. Oh man, it beat me to it. Ohm's law. Little nudge. And this time we're going to move straight on in. And I'm going to check. Pin one over here on this little douchebag for a short to ground, and I get 3.5 million ohms, which means we are not short to ground. So while this thing is hot, I'm going to come over here and I'm going to swab it back off with alcohol. Oh no, my clip came undone. I'm going to swab it off with alcohol, and I don't care what you think about it. Yeah, ultrasonic cleaning, I used to do every one of them, and man, I used to line this hot plate up with boards, 15 boards on there, and I'd keep them all stacked and organized and numbered, and that way the touch IC repairs were done, and as they were done, they would get cleaned, and I would put them on in one order. I'd pull them off in the same order so that everybody ran across the dryer, and ultrasonic clean and dry. Now, it makes for a really, really nice deal. I mean, the repairs look awesome, but time-consuming, outrageously time-consuming. I'm going to need some wireless audio up in here really soon. So, all right, I'm going to warm this board up to dry the alcohol. Dry it off nice and dry. This is 99% alcohol, so you could pretty well just breathe on it and it'll evaporate. We're going to heat it up nice and hot to be damn sure that this is dry. And I like to put these stickers back on while it is hot. So let's go ahead and heat this up. I'm going to switch you back over to my hands. This board is... drop that sticker. Hopefully it's face up. It is. All right. Nice and hot for our sticker. And watch out for the frays on these stickers now. Those frays are conductive, and you don't want one of them get in there and touch something it's not supposed to. All right, flip it over, let it cool. Put this little thing back where it goes. Yeah, I don't miss relocating all the water damage indicators and everything I used to go through to ultrasonic clean every last one of these. It's just too much, and it's not necessary. Yeah, you might have a little hint of flux residue here or there, but as long as you don't use a ton of flux and you're mindful to the way that you clean it, it's really not a big deal. So there we go. We're gonna go ahead and shut the air off. Let's get this thing back in the housing. Yes, I think insecurity is probably one's worst enemy when it comes to success. I think the only, if you want something bad enough, if you focus on something hard enough, and you want it bad enough, and you're able to structure that in a way, in your mind, in a way to where it's realistic, and you're not setting things that are impossible, not setting impossible goals. Your only enemy, main number one enemy, is insecurity. And I am talking to you from experience. I think I am going to do a bit of a heart-to-heart video here before long on exactly where I came from. People that have been following this channel from day one, a lot of them already know, but nobody has that kind of time on their hands, so I'm probably going to do a bit of somewhat of an autobiography on myself, because it helps me to share these things, and it helps me to get them out. I don't care who makes fun of me. I don't. Like, if I cared about people making fun of me, I wouldn't be putting this on YouTube. I didn't see it coming. I did not see this coming. I did not see this changing me in the ways that it has, but this has changed me for the better. And it's changed me in a way that helps everybody around me too, and not just me. It's really, really some good stuff. Okay. Alright, so I got spaced out and I'm doing a full reassembly. We don't want to do that because we haven't verified that this thing works. So let's go ahead and plug in our screeny screen. Actually, I'm plugging in their screeny screen. This is the... Don't make me look like a dummy. Uh-oh. This is the original Apple screen, which makes me very nervous because the original Apple screen is more prone to defects than any other screen, I think, other than some of these aftermarket screens. But if I'm going to do a Touch IC repair that also needs a screen replacement, it's almost always the original screen. Okay. Let this phone boot. Okay. Let that boot up. Pace around here in circles for a minute. Yeah, I don't just sit on my stool hunched over all day working. Like, I move a lot. I spend a lot of time moving around. I'm not always hooked to this umbilical cord. Can't even see it on that little screen. I'm not always hooked to this umbilical cord. Let's see. We can probably do this and do control 1. Nope, no. I made that control 2. I got my keys all set up, but it's going to take me a minute to get used to it. I might just do foot pedals. All right, so we have touch. I'd accidentally shorted M1 to ground. So let's go ahead and see what we can do with this thing. We're going to go to English. No. Dun, 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 dun. Did I hook up the Wi-Fi antenna? I did. Did you guys see that password nice and clear? That password is Fingerweg. It is a German word that literally means fingers away. Alright, no iCloud lock, so we're going to enable. Let's go ahead and do continue. Touch ID works, so we're going to go cancel. We're going to say Touch ID later. Passcode options, we're going to say don't add a passcode. Yes, Apple, we're really sure. We really, really meant to say don't add a passcode. We're going to say set up as a new iPhone. And God, look at all those burnt spots. And we're going to say forgot about it, set up later in settings. Yeah, we really don't want to use it, Apple. Like, I'm serious. I really don't want to put that in there now. And we're going to say agree. We're going to say, yeah, we'll take Siri. We like Siri. We're not going to send any of this crap to Apple. We want a standard view, and we do like standard view. And now we're going to get started. Now it's going to say, I don't have a SIM card. You are going to tell me you don't have a SIM card, right? Okay. Cameras. So back camera. Front camera. All right, now we're going to go for some sensors. I'm going to do... And we're going to see if proximity works. Proximity sensor does work. We're going to stop it. We're going to rewind it. We're going to play it and see if we've got ear speaker, and we do. Now we're going to see if we got loudspeaker. And it does work, so we're going to get out of that. I'm going to delete. I see some backlight flicker there, but we are not going to be concerned with that because backlight flicker, a lot of times, it smooths itself out. I don't know what sort of software learning process goes on, but when you're working on like any iPhone and you wind up with a tiny bit of flicker, don't try to fix it like right away. Wait a minute, because there's a real good chance it's going to fix itself. So what have we tested? We did front and back camera, we did loudspeaker, ear speaker, bottom mic. Wi-Fi's working because we're connected, and because Wi-Fi's connected, we should be able to say, "Hi Siri, can you hear me?" Talk to Siri. All right, whatever, Siri, go screw yourself. This phone's fixed, so we're gonna close out of this stuff. I will be a little concerned about the flickery backlight, but honestly, I have never done anything to solve the flickering backlight. It has always solved itself. And in the beginning, the first time I had it happen, it was on an iPod Touch 5th Gen, which royally sucks to do any work to. I mean, it's not as bad as the 4th, but it still sucks to put a screen in a 5th Gen iPod. And the first time I ran into that was right after a screen replacement on a 5th Gen iPod. And I just thought, these people were going to come back and get it right after lunch, and just, I was bummed. So I left, and I went and ate lunch. And when I got back to the shop, it was fine. It was fixed. I put it all back together, and happy customer. It never came back. Now, I did not do my durability test on this. I normally hold fixed point and touch, and I swivel the screen a little bit and check it, and I'll push a little bit here. I forgot to do that, but I'm not going to backtrack. I'm not going to power it back on. I'm going to go ahead and do a full reassemble on this phone because I want it out of my face, and I would like to move on to my next job. Good morning, Monday. I used to wake up dreading Mondays. And, like, I understand. People that were all chippery and positive about their Mondays, I would look down on them. And, you know, I never have been a bully, so I wouldn't, like, criticize them or even voice anything out loud. But I know what the feeling feels like. You know, you're doing like crap. They're doing awesome. And you're stuck here. You know, what are you going to do? So, okay, let's finish reassembling this phone. This screw actually did go here. Alright, VCC main is live with no smoke and fire. One thing that I did not test on this phone yet is its ability to get service. I'll have to dig around for a SIM card here. Guess I could throw Verizon in it. Yes, I really love what YouTube is doing to me, doing for me as a person. You know, I talk a lot about freedom since all of this has went down, and this is why. I mean, yeah, I still have my obligations because I want a place to live. So although I am free to make my own choices, I am obligated to do these repairs or I won't pay the bills. But I don't have to. But I don't have a boss. Well, I guess instead I've got a few thousand bosses, but it's just a really joyful thing that that I really enjoy. I'm not going to say anything else about it right this second because I've lost my train of thought, and I don't want anybody to think anything. So what do we got to do here to get this other camera on? See, I'll learn all my hotkeys and figure this out. I've got something crossed up, so whenever I switch back, I actually turn that off. Alright, so let's pop this all back together. Oh, that one's tight. Man, that's a tight screen. Okay. Let's get our pentalobe screws back in the bottom here. Dun, da, 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 da. Yeah, you all might be looking for some sort of a cool intro or some snappy editing on this one, but I'm not. I'm planning on posting this as raw as it can be, but my, you know, it locked up, so I couldn't just do a straight raw video. Let's get back in here and do a full-blown test on this thing. I'm going to pop a Verizon SIM card into it, and hopefully it doesn't flag me for activation. Well, no, it won't. It didn't say SIM required, so we should get service on this Verizon card. Let's see what we get. Hopefully we get service. That is the one last thing I didn't test, and then I'm also going to make sure we don't drop test whenever this thing gets a little bit of a flex. I gotta say, I am really pleased with this recording setup. Really pleased. And I'm sitting here at like 25% CPU usage. It's really good. I don't think we're going to have any lagging issues here. Nope, we're at activation required. Let's try again. SIM not supported. Alright, so that's not going to work. But we do have, look, at the top corner, we have a bar. We're going to call that good. So this thing does not have any searching, no service issues. Let's kick that SIM card out of there using my proper SIM card removal tool. There we go. Yeah, like none of you ever jam your tweezers in there to take the SIM card out. Alright, and the last thing I'm going to test is this. I'm going to make sure when I drop this down and flex the phone, it don't drop touch. See there? This phone's good. That is a successful repair. And let's see, I can turn that camera off. What? Control 1, that's microscope 2. Oh Lord. What'd I do? There it is. Oh my goodness. Alright everybody, that's going to be it for this video. Nothing fancy. Simple touch IC repair, me running my mouth. I will wind up jumping out and doing some streaming because I'm curious to see what that's all about, but like I said, it's not going to be my primary gig because I sort of enjoy talking to my camera in private. That's become really good therapy for me, and it gives me the ability to like make things jump around and do cool things, like have myself pop up next to myself. That's kind of fun too. So hey everybody, I hope you have successful repairs, and I hope you have a really good week. I'll try to see you again before the end of the week, but no promises. So thanks for watching. Have a good day.